Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This time a tournament conclusion. I wanted to do some list analysis since I played 3 games for the last UB tournament. I decided why not do another tournament conclusion because it was a long time ago that I did the last one, and I thought there are some interesting things to say about the list and things that I could possibly change. So this is my usual unit impact analysis. You know I love this matrix. So let's start with the Prophet on the Get Bull of Shamut. This was my general. He performed really well. I think I was good at using him during this tournament, during these 3 games. I managed the risk accordingly, took some risk at some times. He didn't die. And he had a tremendous impact on each game, actually. First game, he killed the Mage Bunker of UD, and also the Pharaoh with the breast weapon, finished the last wound. Second game, killed early on the Ranger, and then went Havoc against a number of units. And the last game, he was able to kill both characters, some spear, do some damage, range damage on Disciple. So definitely not an easy model to use because it's very expensive, quite fragile. I mean, it's still a single model. I didn't face, obviously, some hard counters such as cannon or a lot of light shooting and stuff like that. So I'm still curious to see how he can feature in those games. But I had some taste of how I can play him in such games on the last game against Vermin Swarm, because he has some very nasty range damage, especially good counter with Divination against him. But still I was able to do a good game with him, so I was quite happy, and definitely is my MVP for this tournament. Commissioner BSB, he performed totally okay. He stayed in the unit. I was surprised to point that out because the idea of this Commissioner BSB is also sometimes to move out of the unit and do things alone or in combination to gain these additional threats. But actually in each of the game he stayed in the unit, and Bodyguard is obviously very valuable. I rate that very, very high. I think it's very strong. But in this case, and I will jump to the big unit of Taurik Anointed, in this case I think I didn't use actually at all their movement 7. So mostly I use this unit to be very on the solidity in the Bodyguard rule. I move forward and I'm ready to take charges, and therefore I didn't really use the fact that they have movement 7 and that they can charge far. So I think the fact that the BSB is within the unit and they are obviously quite central in my battle line due to the BSB role, I'm not sure I can really exploit the power, I don't know how to say that, but the threat range or the threat aspect of this unit, because I think they need a bit more space sometimes to express themselves and really charge from far and get good angles and stuff like that. So definitely very solid. Resilience 5, 3+ armor save, Bodyguard, very, very solid. They surprised me by the resilience, especially last game. I was in a bad shape, but they still were able to stick until the end almost. So definitely very good performance. It's a solid unit, it's a good unit. Just wondering if there are not some other options, and I will tell you about it after. Vassal Conjurer did his job. Cheap second caster to kill some chaff with Pyro, give me some answer against some problems that I might face, and obviously Scroll Caddy. My core setup, very happy about it because I got Ziggurat who are good independent scoring, can do some damage with their attack. They are solid in CC and good value for points. For what you pay, you get your 3 rank, good static regs with 3 rank champion, the standard, and then it's still 15 attack, great weapon, so can do some damage. Really like the Ziggurat, and I was able to use them. Obviously they lacked a bit of luck in the last game, but they are definitely an interesting unit. Then Double Vassal, very versatile. I mean, they can clean chaff, they can chaff with the Relentless, they can do some combat. Again, they are better than normal chaff, which is good because you have some static and you have a banner, you have some stuff that you can do, and you are not bad because of the battle focus, so you can do some interesting stuff with them. Definitely very convinced by this core setup. Incarnate, they perform well. They perform well. I think if you pick well your target with Incarnate, they are amazing. That's it about this unit. They are so specified with the AP1, but if you go against the right target and you use the light troop mobility to your advantage to pick the right fights, they are very effective. Definitely. And I think it was good to have at least one unit with flaming attack, also to profit a little bit from this synergy that I don't use that much in this list. And yeah, so really happy about it. I like the fact that you can move pretty well laterally, which is sometimes a problem for IG. Talked already about big anointed unit. A small one with paired weapon, very good value for point, I think. I was able to do good stuff with them, and here you see the difference. Unit of 3, I was able to put it in each of the game on the flank, meaning they were able to come from a position, march, and then get some good charges with their good mobility. And here I was able really to profit from the fact that they have movement 7 Swift Ride, and definitely it was important. They did a very good job in the last game, some important job as well on the game 1. So definitely happy, and I think I value really high the fact that they have paired weapon. Offensive 6 is good. Sometimes with ID you struggle to hit well against some armies, and especially against the army that have defensive 5, and I think to have one unit with offensive 6 is sometimes good because it's not an expensive unit, meaning you can play it on the flank and afford to lose it because it's not that expensive. But at the same time, if they get a good flank charge with the weapon skill offensive 6, you can do some damage. I mean, it's 12 attack, 3 impacted, 3 storms, so you get the max output that you can get from one unit like that. So really happy about that one. And to finish, last but not least, the Infernal Engine. I think it's a valuable piece. It's always a pain to deal with for the enemy. You need to consider it. You need to have a plan to deal with it. Definitely in most of the lists you don't have everything in the list that can deal with him. You have only sometimes 1, 2 answers. Sometimes it's magic, sometimes it's a range damage, sometimes it will be a particular close combat unit. But if you put the tank in the good position, in the good part of the board where your opponent doesn't have a lot of solution for him, is a pain, because I mean it's so resilient. If you face max strength 5, you can really survive long enough to be annoying. So I love the idea of the engine. I think that's the unit that I played. I didn't play well during the whole tournament. Obviously game 2 was better, but game 1 and 3 I made some mistakes with the positioning in game 3, with the decision of charging in game 1. So definitely I need here to improve a little bit my game with the engine, but he's a valuable piece. And I think to have one big monster, it's auto include if I play the Great Bull of Shamut, because in some matchup I really need a wall in front of him to take the damage for him, because it's just too expensive. If you don't have some piece of terrain to hide behind in the early stages, you definitely need something to be behind, and that's the only one that is gigantic in my list. So I think it's either him and the Kadim Titan, and in this case I already argued why I prefer the engine than the Kadim Titan, that has similar strengths and weaknesses to the Great Bull. So yeah, that was it about the individual unit and my conclusion. So yeah, MVP, Great Bull of Shamut. I think nothing, if you see there is no red in the conclusion. And the reason why is there is nothing that I would say was crap, didn't work at all, wouldn't play it again. The list is solid, the list works, everything in the list was useful. It's mostly about fine-tuning, taste, playstyle, seeing how you can compensate weaknesses and how is the meta as well, stuff like that. But definitely I would play this list again. I think it was a good list. So yeah, solid list. As a general conclusion, I love the amount of combat threat. I had a lot of stuff. If I can kill some things with range damage early on, some small threats, then I can overwhelm very often the opponent with more unit than him and play on that and get some combination. So I think that was good. The amount of scoring was also precious. I got a lot of scoring, which is always, in most cases, helpful. Range damage worked well. Pyro, Occultism, obviously a very, very aggressive setup. At the same time, I have the feeling that I missed a little bit Alchemy. To be honest, in some matchup, I think it's very matchup dependent. Sometimes you would say, yeah, I prefer Pyro or I prefer Alchemy, but it's not often that you would really say I need both, especially with my setup with a Master Occultism nearby. Meaning, I consider more and more again to try again maybe the Essence of Free Mind or an Adept Alchemy, but I think Alchemy would have been really helpful in all these games where you know there will be a lot of combat. And sometimes, if you think about the last game, giving +2 armor to the tank, kind of nice. UD, Glory of Gold, +2 armor save, nice as well. So yeah, I need to do more tests to think again my magical setup, but definitely Alchemy would have been helpful sometimes. Obviously against Sylvan Elves I was happy to have my Pyro, but despite that I didn't use much Pyro against Sylvan Elves. I thought it would have a huge impact. Obviously my opponent had to think about it and think about the option, so that was definitely something, but it didn't have a huge impact on the game that I expected and maybe my opponent expected too. And finally, Bodyguard unit, I value it. I think it's helpful. It helps me going forward, not being scared of getting charged. So I think I'm very happy to get the Bodyguard unit in special. I'm not sure the Anointed are the best choice. To be frank, the only unit that I didn't try yet are the Immortal. So I think it's the perfect time to try the Immortal to compare. Definitely it goes in the same direction than my last commentary on the list, which was I want to reduce a little bit my sensitivity to range damage. I still have the feeling that I have a lot of models that are scared from, for example, multi-wound stuff, cannon, and etc. And since I still have, it would be an idea to remove Anointed, be less scared of these things, and maybe get the Immortal with a more health point and more static res as well. We saw sometimes the Anointed was a bit annoying because I had no rank anymore and I wasn't able to break the steadfast sometimes. So since you're losing model, you're losing the rank quickly, and that was a bit problematic. But obviously I rate the resilience 5 of the Anointed really high as well. I think that's really good. Resilience 5, strength 6 with infernal weapon is also quite good. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think I need to try the Immortal just to compare and see how I feel using them, what they can provide, what are the difference, how the list works with Immortal rather than Anointed. I need to try some changes, I think, just to compare and be sure that what's the best choice for me. So yeah, guys, that was it. That was my last game for the UB tournament. I don't have any other tournament going on at the moment, but I have some live games planned, so I'm back on the table with real miniature, which is good news. So obviously I will provide battle report, and regarding UB we will see a little bit, but live battle it will probably be with my Ogre Khan, since I need to paint a little bit more my ID to bring fully painted army on the table, which is something I like to do because I guess battle reports are much more enjoyable when the minis are painted. So I think that's an important factor. That's why I will most likely field my Ogre Khan in my next couple of live battles. Also to switch a little bit, could be cool to say, yeah, I play at the moment I played a lot with Infernal Dwarfs on UB, why not play live games with Ogre, just to switch a little bit and also bring some other content to the channel. I think it's also more enjoyable for you if you see both armies. Okay, thanks a lot for watching this video and talk to you soon on my channel. Bye bye.